Yo, every time I'm fired up for them props, I'm a glutton. Don't do this shit for nothing. So when you push the button, you know what to expect. Fuego, no discussion. Anybody talking down on the kid, you hush. I'm talking anybody. It don't matter who it is, nigga, they'll get body. Better money fucking biz, cause what I embody. Made a monster out of prayers for your mama or your sis, for your brother or your bitch, nigga. You ain't fucking with me now, eat a dick and die slow. Keep that energy forever, no changing up once I am on.
Yo, it's been a long time since I made a video, man. I want to say that was probably about like earlier this year sometime. I can't really remember. I think it was, though. I want to say it was January. But I know that due to some issues I was having with a specific person, that was the main reason I stopped making videos. Mainly because this person said they liked watching my videos, but then they started to get upset about things I was saying and they unsubscribed from me. And since I really was making them for them to watch, albeit I was talking about some other stuff, you know, I decided to quit. But, you know, I'm back. I don't know how many more videos I'm gonna make, but I know for right now this is one that I needed to do. I've been needing to make a video for a while. Lots of things I wanted to talk about, but I didn't exactly keep a list of what I wanted to talk about. I know I wanted to talk about the Will Smith slap, but I'm not even gonna talk about that. I'm gonna leave that alone. It's been talked about to death. But that was one thing I intended to talk about, but you know, I decided against it. And so like a couple weeks ago I wanted to make a video, but it was way too hot. Like right now we've been having like a lot of stormy weather these past couple days, and it's pretty mild right now, so I'm able to do one without burning up. Because even though I got my fan on, that fan wasn't doing shit a couple weeks ago. And see, having this flash, you know, right kind of in my face makes me sweat a little bit. Now on top of it, I got some lotion on and stuff, and that's why my skin probably look extremely shiny. But anyway, I guess in this video I'll just be random like I have been in a lot of them. So first off, I want to talk about something I always talk about, and that's having a solid support system. Now, for years I've often said that I try to be, you know, considerate and understanding of whatever people are going through, you know, and whatever they're dealing with or doing, and if they're busy. But the one thing I really realized is that if somebody really is interested in your stuff, no matter what you're doing, they're gonna make time. And I might have said that before, but it's something that I just need to keep putting out there. I need to keep hammering that. You know, that if people really care, they're going to make time. See, with me, I got too many people in my life that'll do everything else, but then try to claim that they're supporting me, or that they're happy for me and all of that, you know, with other things when stuff happen. But they're never really around like that. I also got a lot of introverts in my life, you know, and like the one thing I realized, I used to think I was an introvert, but I'm not really an introvert. I can socialize with a lot of different people, but it's certain folks that I choose to socialize with. So I guess you say, like, so I'm not an introvert, I'm just selectively social. Once I actually get around people that I feel comfortable around, yeah, you know, I'm out there shell like a mud. But for the most part, I am not an introvert, although I do value having time to myself, you know, mainly so I could work on stuff. I don't mind talking to people. It's just there are certain things I don't want to talk about, obviously. And, you know, growing up, you know, being black and being a nerd was something that I guess you could say was, how can I put it? Well, I mean, I grew up around black people, so being black was not so much an issue as much as when I probably ran into other folks, you know, like white people or somebody else. And then sometimes I run across, you know, black people that were real uppity or probably had a, you know, nice upbringing and lived middle class or some shit. So, you know, they probably turn their nose up at you or sneer and shit like that. But for the most part, being black was not an issue. But being a nerd was. I always got picked on because I was in the comic books. When Pokemon became big, got picked on about that. I got picked on because I like to draw. You know, a whole list of things that I got picked on about. So for me, you know, I'm 34. Just for anybody who wants to know or is wondering, I'm 34. But for me, being you know, being black and being a nerd was not something that I was really open to combining. You know, I'm black and I'm a nerd, but those are two different things. My blackness and my nerdiness don't need to coincide. They can coexist, but they don't need to coincide. You know, and that's why I don't really like these groups, you know, that where people call themselves blurs and shit like that. You know, I hate that term. I loathe it. You know, it is one of those terms that I really, really detest. Like, I probably detest blurred more than I did YOLO. and using the word swag at one point in time. Because I definitely didn't like swag for a while. But yeah, blurred, I hate that term. Like, look, I'm black, I'm a nerd, that's it. You know, you don't need to combine both of them. Now, I had joined a group, you know, for people that are nerds and that were looking, I guess, to try to, you know, either looking for a relationship or just looking for friends. But a majority of people in the group, funny acting, or they way too nerdy for me. Like the one thing I realized is that I'm not a nerd. Like, I'm a nerd, but I'm not the nerd that, you know, these other people are. Like, you know, I can be awkward and shit like that, and I don't really attribute that to being a nerd, but a lot of people do. And I kind of hate that, because not all nerds are awkward. There are some nerds that, you know, are pretty fucking smooth. They just nerds. You know, but I guess in the sense that people like to classify a nerd, like, yeah, I'm awkward. You know, I'm pretty geeky. You know, I know a lot of different things and have interest in things that, you know, most, I guess you say, regular people wouldn't be into. But even when it comes to that, I'm pretty pro-black. I mean, just look at the shirt I got on, if you can see it. So, you know, being a nerd and, you know, mixing that with my blackness is not something, you know, that I was interested in doing. And so for a lot of nerds that I've run across, a lot of black nerds, I've apparently been way too pro-black for them. You know, because a lot of these guys are into swirling and shit like that. And while I have dated outside of my race, I'm not interested in that anymore. You know, and I really didn't do it that much. That's what's so funny. Like, out of all the women I dated, probably 4 or 5 of them are not, you know, the same complexion as me and same race as me. Hell, some of them probably not even the same species. But that's a little inside joke for people to know. But anyway, you know, I prefer a black woman. You know, but nowadays it's hard to find the type of black woman that I'm looking for. And that is one reason why I've really just decided that I just don't want a relationship, you know. And that I'm fine being single. The only thing I really want, the one thing that would make me the happiest, is having a solid support system. Now, I know I've jumped around and I ended up coming back around to that. I was supposed to be talking about being a nerd and all that different shit. But I had to kind of circle back around to that. So, you know, the nerdiness actually fits into that whole solid support system thing, because I feel like a lot of the people I ran across that are nerds and that are also black, that claim to be supporters of me at first, a lot of them backed off. Like, first, a lot of people backed off years ago because of political, you know, disagreements. And I mean, that's cool, you know, because while I'm not a conservative, or rather I'm not a Republican, I hold a lot of conservative views though. Like, but I don't hold, I guess, the conservative views that people would think, I guess, that you would think a black conservative would have. There are certain things I'm conservative about. Like, I'm not conservative about sexuality. I don't care about people identifying a different way as far as their gender goes. You know, those are things that I don't, you know, that I'm not, I guess, holding to. You know, there are other things I hold to, you know, like the way society has been. I'm like, I'm not even gonna really just deep dive into that. I share a lot of stuff on my Facebook that, you know, anybody who knows me and watches this will know what I'm talking about. I'll probably expound on that later, but for right now, I'm just gonna say that there are things that I'm conservative about, but they have nothing to do with, you know, homosexuality or people being, you know, transgender. None of that. It has nothing to do with that. My conservative views, actually, my conservative views are not even fiscal. You know, I don't believe in that either. I'm actually more liberal when it comes to those type of things, but as a black person, you know, we naturally have conservative views anyway. You know, the way we were raised is something we didn't realize until we got older. A lot of people didn't. But we are naturally, you know, conservative, but not in the political way all the time. Like I said, maybe somewhat. And, you know, I've slowly began to break away from both sides. Like, I don't really care too much for the left, and I definitely don't care for the right. You know, I'm right there in the middle, but I can't say I'm a centrist because I don't believe in that term. But if somebody asks me, you know, I guess, because I can't really, I guess I'd say I'm an independent, but I don't even really like identifying as that. Like, so far, there hasn't been any political ideology that I could really connect to. There are things in them that I like, and so I pull different, I guess, tenets from these political ideologies, and those are things that I believe in and that I respect and that I look for, but you're never going to be able to find all that in one candidate. Candidate. I can't get that word out. But yeah, you're never going to be able to find all that in one candidate. So, you know, that's why a lot of times I'm never really interested in too many people that are running. And when it comes down to it, I have to go with the usual of choosing the lesser of two evils. Because for me, you know, like for me, I voted for Biden, but I really don't like Biden. I just voted for him because it was the better option, you know, from having Trump in there again and letting him, you know, run wild and, you know, roughshod and do all kinds of bullshit. And you know what's funny is that years ago when I was in support of Trump, a lot of black people were very funny acting, and a lot of folks just stopped fucking with me, you know, because of that. Some people kept fucking with me but kept their distance. Nowadays, I see a lot of black people wishing Trump were in there. Even some of the people who got into it with me. Now, I don't know if they'll ever apologize to me or not, but it is what it is. They don't have to. But it's funny that a lot of folks were against me back then, and like now we've switched, you know, because I eventually saw a side of Trump that I was like, yeah, I can't support this man anymore. And now they want him back in there, but they want him back in there because they're looking at the gas prices and inflation and all of that. And I mean, you could have anybody else in there besides Trump if that's what you're really worried about, you know. It don't have to be Trump. It don't even have to be a Republican, you know, and it don't have to be a Democrat. It could be anybody else. But some people think that if Trump get back in there, everything's going to magically be fixed. And, you know, hate to break it to them, but it won't. But anyway, I wasn't supposed to have been expounding on politics at all. But like I said, this video is going to be very random because there are so many things I wanted to talk about but haven't talked about. And so I'm just taking the time to do that. So, let me get back to the whole nerd thing. Like I said, you know, I joined a group where, you know, a lot of nerds congregate. But the one thing I realized is I do not get along with a lot of those nerds. Like, I hate using the term woke because I hate it when the right uses that term, especially to disparage something. But some of them cling to that term. And for that, you know, just for that, I do not like a lot of those people. They are entirely too woke. I don't think you can see my fingers, but they are entirely too woke for me. I'm gonna have to like stress that just to let you know that I don't mean actual woke. They're entirely too woke for me. Alright, fuck it. That just sounded ridiculous. So anyway, these people are folks that I just realized I can't get along with. And like, every time I run across black people, and I guess you could say for me, and they don't identify as either ADOS or FBA, I automatically back away. You know, like, now I know FBA and ADOS, they both have their issues with each other, or more so, it's the people at the forefront of these movements, these lineages, that have, you know, issues with each other. Because actually, I've seen people from both sides, you know, congregating, conversing, you know, trying to come together, you know, despite how Tariq and Yvette may feel about each other, or Tariq and Tone. You know, these people still fuck with each other. A lot of these people will still watch both people. They'll still watch Professor Black Truth. They'll still watch the Black Authority. The only thing I can say is that I've seen both of them probably join together to go against people like Pan-Africanism Strikes Back. Now, I watch him here and there, but I definitely don't agree with him a lot of the time. It's only been like maybe 3 times I could say I've agreed with him. Like, I try to watch everybody. And, you know, Dr. Umar is one person I have been watching a lot lately, but I also don't agree with everything he says. I really don't fully agree with anybody, ever. Like, there's rarely ever been a time I've ever agreed with anybody all the way through, like, ticking every box. There are things I agree with, things I disagree with, because, like, even with Yvette and Tone, I disagree with a lot that they talk about. And, you know, same thing with Tariq. But I still believe in the movements. I still believe in the message. And the message is what really should matter. Like, the other stuff that they say, that shit don't mean nothing, you know? To some people it do. But to me, it don't really mean anything. And so that's why I'm not going to fully distance myself from the movement. I might distance myself from watching them for a while and then come back after I've, you know, had a breather. Which, there is nothing wrong with that. Like, even when it comes to having friends, there's nothing wrong with us, you know, having a break from each other. The problem comes when people want to just ghost you and not even say anything, you know, or they won't say anything till you bring it up. Like, you know, to have, hit my video. Okay, it's still going. Anyway, to have somebody, you know, be so close to you, be talking to you damn near every day, then all of a sudden they just disappear. And then they give you what I consider a bullshit ass excuse, you know, for why they disappeared. When they could have just told you that. They could have just been up front. But for some reason, people don't like to communicate, you know. But then they want to tell you that you need to grow up. Like, no, you need to fucking grow up. You don't need to be telling me that I need to grow up, you know, and trying to tell me that I go off too much. I go off when people are not honest. See, I'm always open about how I feel. And that this probably has always been a problem with people, because I've been telling people for years, since I was in high school. When I'm mad, I'm going to let you know. You know? And nowadays, it takes a whole lot before I get real mad. So, like, I might be annoyed, I might be ticked off, but not completely pissed. So I could be irritated. And I can tell you how I feel, and then I probably feel better after admitting that. But for a lot of people, you know, I guess they just can't take it, period, no matter how you are. You know, folks just can't take you saying that, you know, you upset about them acting a certain way. Because they think they should be able to act however they want to act and not be called out on it. I've been called out on how I act a lot, you know. But I'm not going to get mad about that. But it also depends on what the situation is. Now, if somebody call out me being upset over an action that they're, you know, currently displaying, and they think that I shouldn't be upset about that, well, of course, I'm not going to really want to hear that, or I'm not going to agree. And I'm going to get even more pissed, because it's like, okay, you don't want me expressing how upset I am with the way you're acting. But then you'll turn around and tell me, you know, how mad you are. And I'm supposed to be okay with that. That's how we doing. Fuck that. You know, like a lot of the issues that I've had with people really could have been solved if folks would talk, but nobody ever really wants to talk. You know, some people like to claim that they're non-confrontational, or they don't like drama. Trying to discuss something with somebody is not fucking drama. It becomes drama when you start acting like an asshole and being belligerent towards somebody who just wants to know, why are you acting this way? What started this? What is your fucking problem? Because see, I can talk, nicely to people and have a discussion. And what's crazy, I've had more nice discussions with white people than I have with my fellow black people and black people I've known for years. Like, there was a girl I got into it with a couple weeks ago, all because I told her that her reasoning, her being upset, over the Uvalde massacre, that the reasoning she gave, I told her there was I didn't say these words, but I'm gonna say it here. Pretty much the reasoning she gave was a bullshit reason. She tried to say that men don't know how to care about children, and that if those cops had been women, they would have stormed the school. Ignoring the fact that a lot of fathers came there trying to get into the school and get their children, and a few did. But a majority of them was stopped by the police. And that's why I told her, I said, this is not a man problem, it's a police problem. I told her, I said, you don't need to be trying to make it a male or female thing. This is a horrible policing situation. And so instead of her being like, maybe you're right, or actually explaining her reasoning, she just said blocked. Like, some people just want to be ignorant, and I'm sick of folks being willfully ignorant. Like, you gave a bullshit ass reason to go off about that shooting, trying to say that men, are at fault for this, instead of just, acknowledging that, like I said, this is a horrible law enforcement problem. Horrible policing down in Texas. That is all this was. It had nothing to do with male or female. Like, sure, police forces might be a majority male, but I believe there was some women on that police force too. If I remember correctly. I have to go back and look at the footage. But even if there weren't any women on that police force, it's not a male or female problem. It's a law enforcement problem. It's law enforcement versus citizens. Citizens who will put their life on the line for their children versus the law enforcement who waited for a long time. But again, you can't reason with some of these people, especially these females that claim they spiritual and they reading their little tarot cards and doing their little astrology and bullshit, and they claim they witches. I'm so sick of running into women like that. Females like that then become shit. The majority almost. Like, it's hard to find a regular woman. Like, I don't really care if a woman is Christian or not, but some of these people take the spirituality shit, way too far. Then a lot of people want to be atheists or agnostic, and again, there's not an issue with that, but the issue comes when they have to consistently post about how they don't believe in this in the Bible, or they have to make fun of Jesus and make fun of God all the time. They consistently post these memes. Like, that's the reason why I've backed off from a lot of people and a lot of pages. Like, folks want to consistently make jokes about God and Jesus, and want to worship the devil. I mean, that's their right to do, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to be associated with it. I'd rather not fuck with them. And so, that's just to be very serious about that. Like, you don't necessarily have to be a Christian to be respectful. And someone might argue that, the Christians aren't respectful to us and blah, 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 blah. But the thing is that while there are people that are Christian or Catholic or whatever that aren't respectful, the majority are. And the problem comes when people do their little disrespectful shit to the wrong folks. Like, go do your little disrespectful shit to the people that disrespected you. Not attacking members of that faith that haven't even said a word to you, haven't had anything to do with what's going on or what somebody else has probably said. Because 9 times out of 10, Christians or Kojic or Catholic, Lutheran, whatever, they're all calling out what a lot of people in their, particular religion do. People have this misconception that everybody, since they're all under this umbrella, they're okay with everything. But a lot of people call things out. The thing is, they get silenced for it or they get shitted on, Like, we've seen this happen time and time again. But a majority of people really do call this shit out. So, you know, when you go trying to attack other people in that faith, you're just acting, you know, I mean, you're acting like the very people you despise. And you might think that's justified, but it's really not, because you're attacking innocent people, people who had nothing to do with whoever upset you. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what happened, you know. You know, you need to take your problems up with the person or people, you know, involved in that, who did it, who are guilty. The responsible party, the religion is not responsible. There are people in it that are responsible, but not everybody. So don't take it out on the religion. Don't take it out on the faith, you know. But that's what a lot of people do. People do that often, you know. And in our community, black people have been turning away from the church. And I understand why. But again, they still keep trying to attack people who have nothing to do with the reasons why they're turning away. Now, in the terms of reparations and, you know, black politics, I can see why a lot of black people will attack, you know, the Church of God in Christ and all of that, because a lot of times the people in those churches vote Democrat, you know, and they do it, you know, unashamed, unabashedly, and they do it without really expecting much in return. Whereas, you know, a lot of us have been realizing that we need to get something out of our vote. And like, wow, there are some black people trying to tell you, well, you know, you need to vote, you need to vote for, you know, conservatives, or vote independent, vote for the Green Party, vote libertarian. The thing is, none of these people are offering the things that we want. There might have been one libertarian I remember talking about trying to, you know, help us get reparations. And I don't know if that like killed her campaign or not. Because I remember years ago, when I was in support of Trump, he actually talked about trying to make reparations happen. But then he walked it back. You know, and somebody said to me, you really think he gonna try to give y'all reparations? Like, you know, you lost your mind if you think he gonna do that for y'all. And the thing is, I understand where they're coming from. I probably had lost my mind thinking he was gonna do that. But the thing people have been saying lately is that it was worth a shot. It was worth it to see if he would do it. You know, because the Democrats, every time you mention it to them, they either get quiet or tell you no comment, you know. They don't want to talk about it. They want to change the subject. Or they tell you something like, you know, I'm not going to do anything that benefits black people. No. Okay, I, you know, kind of truncated that, but that was Kamala that said that. Said she wasn't going to do anything that only benefits black people. You know, so that had a lot of people not really wanting to, you know, support her. And rightfully so. Because we're not saying that we're the only people in this country, but what we are saying is that it's high time that we have a politician that's a Democrat, or that is some new party maybe, that is willing to do something for us first and foremost, and then do stuff for other people afterwards. Like, how is it that we have black people running, but they never want to help us? They want to help everybody else but other black people. You know? And so, like, that's one of the things that I've been wanting to talk about for months. And, again, this circles back around to having a solid support system. Because, as I said, a lot of the people that claim to be fans or supporters, they are not into this stuff that I'm into. You know? And it's hard to talk to these people that I consider friends or associates about these things without stuff either turning into an argument or folks just not wanting to talk because they don't like to talk about politics, or they're not a political person. You know, how the fuck can you be going through this life being black and not being a political person? There are things in this world that we all, you know, that black people need. So you can't say that you're not a political person. And you know, and I don't know, it's just people like that just get on my fucking nerves, man. They all claim they're not political. They don't want to get involved in shit. They don't want to talk about reparations. They don't want to talk about police accountability. They don't want to talk about man, there's so many things. I can't list them right now. Like, any other time you catch me, I would know this shit like the back of my hand. But right now, because I'm trying not to go over the limit, because I'm at 29 minutes right now. So I'm gonna go in this. And I'll probably make another video. If not later on, I'll make another video tomorrow. But I had to go and get this off my chest, so I'm out.
Yo, every time I'm fired up for them props, I'm a glutton. Don't do this shit for nothing. So when you push the button, you know what to expect. Fuego, no discussion. Anybody talking down on the kid, you hush. I'm talking anybody. It don't matter who it is, nigga, they'll get body. Better mind they fucking biz, cause what I embody. Made a monster out of prayers for your mama, or your sis, for your brother, or your bitch, nigga. You ain't fucking with me now, eat a dick and die slow. Keep that energy forever, no changing up once.